hello, and welcome back to the channel. As most of you know, I'm Topher. And for those of you who don't know and just randomly decided to click on my video, welcome to the channel. I'm Topher. Thank you for stopping by. So we're here to do a reaction, and we're diving back into The Love You Give Me. We're diving into episode 3. And yeah, we're not going to have a lengthy introduction. We're just going to dive on in. Like with all my other reactions, the full thing will be available for free over on Patreon. Link down in the description. Click, 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 and it'll take you where you need to go. But yeah, let's just dive on in and see where episode 3 takes us.
信号不好。喂，圈圈，妈咪出去接个电话，你在这里乖乖的啊。好。
No, I'm going outside to answer this call. Why don't you come outside with me so no stranger kidnaps you? Ma'am.
又是你，干嘛打我？
因为你欺负我周爸爸，你是坏人。
你果然是敏慧的儿子啊，说话就会惹人生气。
你为什么说我妈咪？是说我妈咪不好。
你再打我一下试试。
我的妈咪，我爱守护，动感光波。
Child.
我妈妈教训一下你。
Oh, okay, so we're gonna have a Nerf battle in the middle of this department store. Also, where did they get this fully loaded gun? Oh, child. Okay, another very highly entertaining episode. So we started where we left off last time, with Jinxie in the doctor in Zhao's office and Min walking in and with little boy, and then it's having this big reveal like, oh my goodness, he's got us, or she's got a son. When did this happen? And you know, all of these just, I feel like I've said it before. He's taking, like, he's seeing just a little bit of a scene. He's seeing just a little bit, and he's developing his own story of what's happening in this situation and just rolling with it. So sorry, I was typing something in. So he's seeing these little bits, these little fractions of what's happening, and it's like, okay, I know the full story, and I'm just gonna say that this is what happened, and like, baby, don't make up all these stories in your head just because you think you know what's happening. So, little boys basically speaking facts and truths because children are unfiltered. They don't have to, they don't have to sit here and think about, I got to be nice to this person, I got to be cordial, blah blah blah. They just say what is on their mind, unfiltered. So he's sitting here like, I don't care how pretty you are, you can't treat my daddy Zhao that way, and I don't like you anymore, you can't be my daddy, blah 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 blah. And so he, you know, he see leaves, and then Minhui goes after him. It's like, hey, I just want to apologize. He's a little boy. He doesn't know what he's saying. This, that, the other. And yeah, just apologies. It's. I'm sorry. And what did he have to say? It's like, please don't drag the doctor into this mess. And he's like, when were you gonna tell me that you were, or don't you feel bad at all? And she's about to say, yes, I felt bad. And he's like, no, you don't. And I'm like, why'd you ask me the question if you're not gonna let me answer? It's like, if you did, you wouldn't have run off and gotten married and this, that, the other. And I'm like, ma'am, you're not married. Go ahead and feel free to let him know you're not married. You didn't get married. And he's not the baby. The doctor's not the baby's daddy. Go ahead and let him know that. But no, she sat there in her silence. I don't know if it was because she was stunned by some of the things he was saying, because the fact that he was saying things like that tells me, like, as outsider looking in, or maybe even just from that Hearst perspective, it tells me that he still, well, if it wasn't fairly obvious, he still feels something. He's still upset and hurt about all this stuff, which means these wounds are so fresh, which means he still feels something. Something is still there. And the fact that this new information that he thinks is true, her having a child and being married, this, that, the other, is upsetting him to this degree, means that, okay, I guess he was hoping that she would remain single, and the fact that she is married in his head is even more hurtful. And it's like, okay, okay. So maybe she was just stunned by all of that and just couldn't get her words out. But me, I'm like, hey, no, very single, not a ring on this finger. Hey, ain't been a ring on this finger a day in my life. I'm single as the day I was born, baby. But that's just me. Um, so then we fast forward to the presentations that they were doing for him, her Minhui's company, and the competing company, and Shinsi was being, for lack of a better term, an ass. He was being an ass in the meeting, which we kind of knew he probably was going to be, especially when he when they seem to get along. Then he is fine. Everything is fine and dandy. But the second he discovers some little bit of information and he makes up an entire storyline revolving that little bit of information and he starts to get upset, then he's going to start running off his mouth and just being an ass to her. So he's butthurt because he thinks she's married with this kid and this, that, the other, and she didn't correct him. So she's giving her presentation and it's all well and fabulous. And he's like, is that it? Only 15 minutes? This is lots of money we're investing and you only made a PowerPoint for 15 minutes. She's like, well, Zuckerberg only needed 5. And he's like, yeah, but that changed the internet. And I'm like, well, I'm sure that at the time people were a little skeptical about that, the fact that the face of the internet was going to change with this Facebook thing, but here we are. And she's like, well, who's to say that we can't change the landscape too? And he starts hammering her with questions left and right. And I'm like, are you going to question the other girl like this? Because I feel like you should question the other girl like this too. But no, he's hammering left and right to the point where it's like, it feels very obvious that there is tension to everyone in this room. There is obvious tension and it is very uncomfortable. Like I mentioned in that scene, I love how cool, calm, and collected she was. I love that she did not let any of his antagonistic ways fluster her. She remained level headed and she spoke fact. She's like, hey, I'm going to be honest with you. You are being biased, or whatever terminology she used. She's like, hey, you are not thinking of this clearly because where if this were other corporations or if this was like a kitchen or a chef or whatever, like you wouldn't care about this, that, the other. You would care about, does the food taste good, blah, 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 blah. We talk in numbers and datas and codes and blah, 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 but I'm sitting here getting hammered. So, and those weren't her exact words, but basically she let him know about himself. Like, hey, you are being a little unfair right now. So calm the fuck down. And she sat down and, her friend Moo Cow. No, sorry, I was looking at the name here. This Cow. Gave her a little thumbs, like, good job, girl. And it's like, yes, you handled that very, very well. Because I could feel myself getting irritated and frustrated and like, Lord, will you stop this? Will you stop letting what is going on between us interfere with all of this stuff? And like I was saying there, I feel like if you are going to be so susceptible to your feelings, perhaps you should not be the person in power. Perhaps you should not, look at the political landscape of, hell, I live in Florida, so I say that a lot. If you can't control your feelings, you shouldn't be the fucking governor. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like if you can't control your emotions and you can't handle this, if you're going to let your personal life interfere with business, because this is business, whatever happened between y'all way back when, that was your personal life. You guys can handle that outside of this office, but what is happening right here in this office is business. So do not bring this conversation we had at the hospital a day ago into this business meeting. Don't bring whatever feelings you had back then into this meeting. I'm not bringing that into this meeting. They're not bringing whatever past shenanigans they have into this meeting. This meeting is about right now business, blah, blah, blah. So if you can't focus on business, you should not be the person in power dealing with all this kind of stuff. Yeah, I guess the shareholders had their discussions and they'll do their little voting. And we had a little scene there with Minhui and Miss Cow and the other lady from the other company, and basically she was like, "Doesn't she seem awfully confident?" And I'm like, yes, she does. She seems terribly confident. I feel like I've only seen her one other time, and she seemed nervous about the whole blah blah blah. And Guanzhou or whatever his name was like reassuring her this, that, and the other. So it's like she does feel awfully confident in some of her just interactions with them. And then we saw later in the episode after they won, when Xingxi was at the celebratory dinner, it's like, oh, you seem awfully confident having booked this 3 days in advance. And she looked like she was shook, like, oh shit. He caught on to that. Oh God, he knew I and she just seemed flustered and bewildered at the fact that someone was about to call her out on that. Homeboy over here is like, oh, this is just commonplace. It's like, oh yeah, no, I totally did that. I always do that. That's how I operate whenever I've got a big project. Yeah, I just like to be safe. But Homegirl was about to spill the tea because she's like, oh my God, he found us out. So like there are shenanigans happening here, and um I like that Junsi is not completely blinded by his feelings. Um, to the point where it's like, okay, he's trying to investigate what happened. He's still, yes, he's got this past with Minhui, and yes, it's caused him to act certain ways throughout the series thus far. But after seeing little boy in the convenience store, which again, such an adorable scene, I love how he's able to just. Children seem to be the only people that he's really able to have a nice, sweet conversation with. And it's not pandering. It's not, oh, you're such a good little boy, aren't you? Like he has just conversation on their level, treating them like they're just adults or just the same. He's having these just very honest conversations, but the energy behind everything he's saying in these conversations, it feels so different than any interaction we've seen him have with every adult. Every adult in this universe he's had a conversation with has either been giving orders or having this I don't have time for you kind of attitude. I am so great and wonderful, blah, 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 blah. That air about him, or whenever he's just being antagonistic towards Minwei. But anytime he's around a little kid, he is just the sweetest person. So, yeah, first the conversation in the convenience store started with a little boy shooting at him. He's like, "Why'd you shoot at me?" It's like, "You were bullying my daddy's job, this, that, the other." And he kept shooting at him. He's like, "Well, fine, you're gonna shoot at me. I'm gonna shoot at you." And he took the gun and they started, pow, 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 pew, pewing. And then it's like this little game of like almost laser tag, except without lasers. They've got guns, but like they're, it was fun. It was adorable. And then he's like, "My mom says I'm Superman. See?" And he shows him, the bandages and whatnot. It's like, "Oh, you had heart surgery too. Oh, that's something we have in common." And again, it's just there's so many little similarities between them. They're doing such a good job of planting this idea in my head that he is Jinxi's son. Like from the first time I saw them in the bathroom together, doing the same sort of hand motions, washing, and this, that, the other, I'm like, that's one little similarity. I'm not going to say that they're related, but that could be a thing, coming down the bloodline. And then every time they are interacting with each other, I'm just seeing more little similarities. And they're not like beating me over the head with it, like he is his son, but they're just showing me these little things, like how he just jumped in instinctually into doing this little chasing match with a gun, and they're just having fun and interacting like that. And then obviously the heart problem could be a biological thing. It could be straight from the DNA. His father had heart issues. Now he's got heart issues. Almost probably the same thing. Not necessarily a guarantee, but like there's all these little things, and it's like, oh, but yeah, I love his interactions with the little kid. I forgot where I was in the story before I jumped to the convenience store. Oh, saying that I love how he's not blinded by all of the interactions they had there, and he's still able to see something is not right. Because Minhui obviously gave the better of the two presentations, and he was shook when he found out the other company won. So it's like Minhui her company, Mist should have taken this. So he was if this were like 2 episodes ago, he probably just be like, okay, cool, great, blah blah blah. But like at this point, you can tell that he's not necessarily letting these things get in the way of business, especially since he's seen this is the second or third time Minhui's been able to um, reach him on a not necessarily an emotional level, but reach him about this product from not just a business standpoint. Um, there was the point either last episode or the episode before when she gave him the bike ride and he was seeing the little boy off this that the other and they're having conversation and she was able to just kind of give him this inspiring speech about how the product is going to how the real world applications for children, this, that, the other, without going into too much personal detail. And then now here, seeing little boy, seeing her son also having this heart surgery, this, that, the other, it's like, oh, she's not just doing this for money or blah, blah. She's doing this because it literally means something to her. It's coming from very personal experience and she's trying to prevent this from having to happen to future children, blah, blah, blah. It's legitimate. She's not just doing this because of any asinine reason. She's doing this for real. So he knows that her project is the one that should have gotten the green light. So it's like something is not right here. Something in the milk ain't clean. So I got to figure out what's going on here. I'm not going to let her know I'm trying to figure out what's going on here because I still got to keep up my appearance with her that I hate her. But I'm going to figure out what's going on here. Um, what else? Oh yeah, we had the whole storyline with Miss Cal running over the sweet boy. Um, it's the start of a potential ship there, which I'm all here for. Nice little, meet cute. It's adorable. He's adorable. We'll see more of them, I'm assuming, as the show goes on. What else? What else? What else? Oh, we got that last little flashback. Oh, well, again, he still cares because when we moved into this new house, first flashback he got when he was outside on their courtyard or whatever is him with her, like saying, I want a huge tree like that in our courtyard someday. How long do you think it'll grow? Ah, that'll be too long. So his first instinct was say, plant a tree here. What kind of tree? Die. What kind of tree? Ah, this poor assistant. This poor assistant's getting no help from him. Um, but yeah, those feelings are still there to some level. Some degree he's still holding, well, obviously he's still holding on to the past, but he's still looking back on some of these moments with a fondness, and it's still motivating some of his actions. Um, and then we got the last little flashback to I guess immediately after she found out she was pregnant, and we got a flashback earlier in the episode where they're like, at this stage abortion could be dangerous for you, this that and the other, and she's like, no, I'm gonna give birth to it. um and then we got the flash to after he was born, Dr. Zhao letting her know that he had this heart issue and he's going to do his best to take care of her. But that last flashback we had in the episode was Jingxi, I guess, I'm assuming he already had his heart surgery at that point, maybe, because we saw in, I think, the prior episode's flashback or the one before that, um, when they first met at the tree, when who was it? He's looking for Sue somebody. It doesn't matter. He's looking for somebody who is not Minhui. Um, who had the diary and was like, hey, make sure you get this to Xingxi and don't tell him anything that happened to me. Don't you tell him. So saw them meet at that tree, and he said that I need to have this heart surgery, but I've been putting it off so I could see you beforehand, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know if he's already had his heart surgery at this point in time. I'm hoping he has. But he's running around looking for her, like, where's she been? Where's she gone? Why is she hiding from me? And it was just like passing ships in the night. He just didn't look to the right and missed her, and she saw that it was him. It's like, oh shit, well, I'm gonna go to the left. And that, I guess that's how they parted. She just went missing as far as he was concerned. And yeah, the more we get these flashbacks at the end of the episode, we're just filling in more and more of this puzzle, and I enjoy how they're assembling this story. I enjoy how they're placing the flashbacks, and they're filling me in the information that I need as I need it. And yes, I keep having more questions as to what's going to happen here, what happened here, but I know that they're going to get me that information, so I'm not stressing too much. But yeah, fantastic episode. Love, love, love. Can't wait to get into next week's. But hope you guys enjoyed this reaction. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, turn on notifications to be notified when all of my shenanigans get posted. If there's anything else you'd like me to react to, be sure to leave it down in the comments. I'll get to it as soon as I possibly can. If you'd like to support the channel in other ways, you're more than welcome to join us over on Patreon. You don't have to, but you're more than welcome to if you want to. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Love ya. Mwah.